Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Ferrari HP Esports Series. We are back at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, in the United States, set for the next part of our Assetto Corsa campaign in the regional finals. We closed the book yesterday on the European side. We now move into Asian, Pacific and China. And of course, later on tonight, we will have Americas. But that's going to be another story for a later time. We're going to be talking about yet another group of drivers looking to make their way through to the grand final at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. That'll be taking place in December. Of course, we'll give you a rundown as to how the format has worked through the course of our run, through the course of this year, and then later giving you the insight as to what is to come, basically, here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. But George Morgan here, your commentator, nonetheless. Also alongside me once again, Lewis McGlade. And Lewis, fresh after what we saw last night, Sven Gilhode qualifying as the sole representative. Remember, only one from Assetto Corsa moving through to the grand final. The big question is, I suppose, who's going to join him?
Yeah, indeed. We've got 7 of our 14 drivers already, but of course, there's still 5 more attempts to qualify. We've got one here, we've got one a little bit later on this evening, and then of course we move to Assetto Corsa Competizione. You'll talk about that in a bit, I'm sure, but we're getting quite a competitive grid already building up, and we're starting to add those final flourishes, and we've got a quality grid out there tonight. There's one driver though who's kind of standing out, at least to me, on that list.
Well, he stood out as well, didn't he, last year? Andika Rama Milana, who did not qualify last year, but is back nonetheless, and is also a force in GT World Challenge on the Asia side, as well as at the same time a GT Academy Asia champion in 2015. This man has had an extraordinary long career in the world of sim racing. We're seeing a lot of new blood come through, but obviously Andika Rama Milana, one of the veterans of the sim racing grid. Stands a good chance tonight if he can convert what we're seeing in practice to quali trim and also by extension race trim, Lewis.
Yeah, he's been looking pretty quick in practice, comfortably faster than the rest of the field, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate to qualifying. Remember, the 20 or so cars will be going out into qualifying together on the circuit, so you've got to get that clean lap in on what is a very difficult circuit.
Yeah, obviously we can get into the heart of the action as we make our way through this broadcast. In the meantime, though, let's have a little look at the regional map and just give you guys an insight as to how this works here at the Ferrari HP Esports Series. The breakdown of regions is in 3 parts: Americas, also Asia Pacific and China. And then later on, of course, we do feature the European competition also, which we've already closed the book on, as I said at the top of the show, in Assetto Corsa. We've seen all 3 regions take part in the iRacing field on the 499P. Here is how the format has worked from June and July. We took part in hot laps across all 3 regions. That then teed up the grids for the regional qualifiers as well for September, October. Now we're at the point of the regional finals where those from the regional qualifiers made their way through to the finals phase before qualifying now for the grand finals for the 3rd of December. We're whittling away at that roster of drivers in a bid to try and bring together a full 14-car complement for the big grand finale. Here are the regional finals phases and how they're going to work. We have qualifying on all 3 platforms. Of course, we've done iRacing. That is complete. We're racing on Assetto Corsa at the moment. We go through qualifying. Then that tees up race 1's grid, and then the race 2 grid decided off the back of the result of race 1. The winner then proceeds to the grand final. A small reminder for you as well, folks, with iRacing, it is 2 drivers from each region that go through to the grand final at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. For Assetto Corsa, it's just the 1. And then when we move to ACC, 2 from Europe, and then 1 from Asia Pacific and China, and also the Americas. So that is how the system works here at the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Obviously a lot of excitement as we hustle through the course of tonight. Here is the calendar breakdown. We've been through the 10th and 11th of October. We've just concluded life on the 24th of October for the EMEA Laguna Seca run on Assetto Corsa. We are here with Asia Pacific here for RF2 of Assetto Corsa here, 25th of October. Later on tonight, it's the Americas region at Laguna Seca, also to close the book on Assetto Corsa. We then move to Assetto Corsa Competizione on the 7th of November, firstly with the EMEA region, and then we head to APAC and Americas on the 8th of November at Watkins Glen to decide the final drivers that will be making their way through to the grand final in December. But in the meantime, now that we've giving you the breakdown as to how this all works, we can also introduce the one, the only Isaac Gillison. Of course, a veteran pro in sim racing, I suppose you could say, and still remains to this day, and very much leading the way for Ferrari as well. Isaac, great having you on board. And are you excited as much as we are to see yet another crop of drivers competing here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series?
For sure, pleasure to be here, guys. To join you guys for the race on Laguna Seca today. We had the European race, of course, yesterday, and that was quite exciting with very close lap times. Excited to see who is going to be going to the grand final from the APAC region.
Yeah, I think, Isaac, just to touch base on this, we mentioned obviously Andika Rama Milana putting in some sensational practice times. You mentioned it also about the close fields from yesterday. They've really been close, actually, right through the course of the championship so far, with iRacing included. Could tonight be one of those nights where we see the return of Andika Rama Milana and he dominates here this evening in total contrast to what we've already seen before?
It is very possible. Laguna Seca is a very much a qualifying track, I would say, because the overtaking is very tricky. But that doesn't mean that there won't be any overtaking, because you have, of course, the sand next to the track. And in Assetto Corsa, that really slows you down. If you dip one tire into the sand, it can be on a qualifying lap or even during the race. You lose minimum 2 to 3 tenths. And if you've got a car right under your rear wing, putting on the pressure, I think we're in for some great racing.
Yeah, we're going to be in for a good one. Lewis, just to touch on the format as well, obviously we've got 10 minutes of qualifying, then on top of that, the 2 races. It's a very aggressive format. Remember, only one driver can qualify for the grand final. So really, qualifying is everything at the top of this.
Yeah, very much so. I think based on what we saw yesterday, realistically, pole position is a must. But if you can get on the front couple of rows, you've got a chance. You can see a few good starts in that, but it's about getting those moves done down to the Andretti hairpin, which is the second corner. And obviously, the only way that you're going to get those moves is if you're qualifying up towards the front. So nailing that qualifying session is critical. But like I said, it's an open qualifying session. Everyone's out on circuit, and where I think the pace difference from the front to the rear end of the field around here is going to be slightly larger than what we had in the EMEA region last night. I think that finding that clean air is going to be really tricky around here, especially because it is such a short lap. It only takes about 81, 82 seconds to get around. So it is a short circuit for 20-odd cars to get around.
Yeah, definitely is that. So finding that track position, that clean air is going to be oh so vital as well. And Isaac, just wanted to ask you a little bit about the car we're using tonight. Obviously, we had some insight from Jonathan Riley, but we'd be really intrigued to get your point as well, and for the viewers at home that might have just joined us at this part of the season. We started the season with iRacing utilising the 499P, obviously the prototype Ferrari. We now have here today and of course this evening the introduction of the 488, which is the precursor or the predecessor from the 296. So we're going back to the V8. What do you make of the 488? Obviously you would have had some experience in the 488 Evo, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I drove that car as well, of course, 2 years ago when I competed in the Ferrari Esports series. And it's a very specific car to set up in Assetto Corsa specifically as well. I think what you will generally see is that they will go for lower ride heights, and that's generally how you would like to set this car up. But then on Laguna Seca, it's a lot of elevation change. It's bumpy, like the apex curbs can unsettle the car as well. So it's a really fine line for the car to be set up. But if you get it set up correctly, it's such a joy to drive, and then almost like it will drive by itself. It's a really good car to lap the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, it packs a punch, doesn't it, in a straight line, the Ferrari 488. But naturally, it's not all about straight lines here at Laguna Seca, is it? Like you so rightly said, the cornering and the elevation change is ultimately key, especially the notorious corkscrew, where you find yourself all of a sudden reaching the precipice of the mountain. You then descend downhill straight away. Keeping balance is so key, isn't it?
Yes, of course, because if you haven't set the car up correctly, then it's going to fall out of the balance when you have those bumps, those elevation changes, especially at the corkscrew as well. You need to have the suspension stiffness as well in order for the car to ride those bumps. And then as well, the down the left-hander with the late apex after the corkscrew is so vital to get right too. Yeah,
well, we're taking a nice look at the corkscrew section now, coming out of that section in Monterey, California, United States, here at Laguna Seca, opened back on the 9th of November 1957. That is 67 years ago, everybody. 3.602 kilometers, 2.238 miles, with 11 turns in total. This is going to be quite the battle. We witnessed a lot of it yesterday. Many of these drivers looking to follow in the footsteps of Luke Whitehead as well here, Lewis, of course, last year's champion. And obviously we've seen what's happened to him. He's become quite the professional, of course, in recent times, was really building the blocks on a stellar career before even competing in the series last year. But then again, for many young drivers, this championship can really changed these people's lives. I mean, we've seen many come to the furore, really enter their names into the world of sim racing wholeheartedly through their performance in this very championship.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, look, Luke's a quality driver. He always kind of has been, but of course, to win a competition like this, it's really stepping above what's been done before. And he's been kind of a lone wolf in his sim racing career. So it's obviously it was great to see him win a competition like this, kind of raising up, being a more professional and having that approach. Fantastic. Just got a question for you, George. What else does it say on that Wikipedia page? You've been reading about the circuit. My goodness, you've got all the facts.
I am Wikipedia, my friend. But yeah, as we now take a look at the circuit once more, I wanted to ask you as well, Isaac. Obviously, we're in an online setting at the moment, but of course, as we all know, the grand final is going to be settled at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, in a LAN environment where all the drivers are going to be pretty much in touching distance of one another in their rigs, and it's going to be a very different atmosphere, isn't it, when you take yourself out of the online setting into the LAN environment?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is where you really put on the pressure onto those drivers. And that's where you see the diamonds are being formed under pressure. People will excel in that environment. People will maybe do less good compared to driving at home, because suddenly you've got all of the lights on you. As you said, George, it's a very different atmosphere in Abu Dhabi. It's the final race of the Formula One season as well that's taking place that weekend. So it's a really like the atmosphere in Abu Dhabi itself is really, really pressurized. And suddenly lights are on you, cameras are walking around, you're suddenly seeing your face on the big screens. It can be a make or break deal for those guys in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, how would you handle something like that, Isaac, just to touch on it? Obviously, you've been in this position before. What is it really like being that driver in that rig contesting for the championship?
It's difficult to describe. For me personally, it's something like when you are on a stage like that, that's what I'm sim racing for. That's what I love doing, because suddenly the pressure is real. You see the competitors you're actually driving against on a virtual track, but they're sitting next to you. And you just have to try and concentrate on your own driving. Try to get everything out of your mind, focus on the next apex, focus on the next braking zone, and try to do the best job possible. And in a situation like that, when it's very different compared to where they are probably sitting right now doing the laps in qualifying, it's going to be quite different.
No question. Well, as you can see, folks, qualifying underway, and we're riding on board with Andika Ramanalana. And as we said, TGRT GT Cup World Finalist and also a GT Academy Asia champion back in 2015. Also taking the championship in GT World Challenge Asia in 2022. This man has got an enviable CV here, Lewis.
Yeah, certainly so, and a reference lap time around here, at least based on yesterday's racing. Sven Gielhard set a 21.426 around here. I think pole position in this 21.6, 7, something like that might be enough to grab pole position. We'll see what Andika Ramanalana is able to piece together, heading up towards turn 6. As I was saying in yesterday's broadcast, I maintain turn 6 is the hardest corner on this circuit. It's the one that has the least margin for error around here. I know everyone obviously gets all the talking points of the corkscrew, which is a lot of fun. It's the most iconic visually, but turn 6 is brutal.
Yeah, obviously it's the precursor for a run in the corkscrew as well. Tees up the run through the Rahal Straight, but Andika Ramanalana coming through the final corner. Had a little bit of a funny moment coming downhill through the section of turn 10, but seems to have just shrugged that off as he makes his way down through towards turn 1. Obviously other drivers are going to be contesting with him in order to find the fastest time. That is a 1:23.205 for Andika Ramanalana. Not the fastest time though that we have seen so far. We have got Ilham Halil Karim, Shakil Aziz, who goes immediately higher than he does. Russell Reyes on his return to the championship as well, showing that he hasn't missed a step. A 1:21.785, not a bad banker, Lewis.
That's a cracking lap time, a 21.7. Like I said, 0.6, 0.7 might be good enough for the pole around here. We'll see what they actually end up doing over this session, but to set that as a banker lap time, that genuinely, that might be good enough for the front couple of rows, regardless of what anyone else sets. See Moreno through the penultimate corner now, down into the 11th and final turn. See what Moreno is able to do, punching it out through that final turn and then up towards the line. Simon goes up into 6th position. Here comes Moreno across the line. No real, just to a 23.1. Not really a spectacular lap time there.
Yeah, Lewis Moreno, who entered into sim racing, or firstly discovered sim racing on Gran Turismo 2 at the age of 6 years of age at his auntie's home, and then started competing competitively back in 2013. So he's had quite a lengthy time in competitive sim racing, and that's where it really was all born for him. As now Andika Ramanalana looks to improve from 11th fastest, and will improve from 11th fastest behind Russell Reyes. So you've got the top three that also appeared last season: Russell Reyes, Andika Ramanalana, and Oliver Wormston. As now we see a big change as Ignacio now goes into 3rd fastest, and just under 2.5 tenths from the top time laid down by Reyes.
Just outside of a second here, we look at Wan Chi Du, who's going on the Rahill straight now up into the corkscrew on a lap time. The first driver outside of a second of our pole sitter at the moment in Reyes. I do suspect that lap time might get a little bit faster. I mean, we're only halfway through this qualifying session. There's still plenty of time left to go, as much as it's a quality banker lap time. Again, it's showing that the fight might be between those two at the top of our session. In today's action, only one of them though can go through. It's not like it was a couple of weeks ago where two were able to make the trip. Just the one today.
Yeah, Moreno moving into 6th place as well. Chidu moving down into 8th. Wormstone now dropped down to 4th as we see more drivers starting to move in amongst the timing screen. Rafi Rahajian now into 7th as well at the same time. We've got other movements elsewhere. More and more cars moving into the pits, and no doubt looking to flurry in their final laps at the same time, as we now keep our eyes peeled on our current P1 sitter. Russell Reyes just getting into the rear splitter of the car in front. Elbows out already, Isaac. You don't really want this during qualifying, but then again, I would imagine Russell Reyes is trying to hunt for clean air.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not how you want to do qualifying. It's difficult because it's 22 cars on like quite a short circuit, so it's difficult to find clear space. And you see as well the gaps up front. It's 0.025 of a second. It's incredibly close, but there's a bit of a gap spread down at the bottom end of the field. So you do have to sometimes leave a bigger gap than you expect, especially if you're one of the front runners.
Well, the intriguing fact in that tie-up, it was actually Russell Reyes and Andika Ramanalana. Actually, Ramanalana getting a push in the rear in a bid to starting this next lap. And obviously, bear in mind, Reyes, 25 thousandths ahead. Now, these two know each other very well from last year. Does Reyes consider Andika Ramanalana a threat here, Isaac? Do you think that's what it is?
Yes. Yeah, a gap that close, it's literally a shift up a little bit too late, going slightly like half a car width too deep into the core. It's nothing. It's nothing. So if Milana can get a good launch, if he can keep second or maybe go up to first here, because he is improving by the looks of it, only a little bit, but just enough, then he's in for the win.
And it doesn't matter how much it is, as long as it's higher than the car in front of you. And 38 thousandths is, of course, better than 25 thousandths. So Andika Ramanalana could yet find himself ripping P1 out of the grip of Russell Reyes' fingertips, as now they charge down, or Andika Ramanalana does anyway, with just over 2.5 minutes to go, and goes fastest by 91 thousandths of a second. So advantage to Andika Ramanalana, and Russell Reyes dropped to second here, Lewis, but he's coming across the line now.
Yeah, he's going to start setting a lap time here. He returned to the pit lane after being blocked by Andika Ramanalana there in his previous lap. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. He'll have enough time for a couple of laps around here, but controversial moment then here in the qualifying session. Russell Reyes, that's already a bit of a mistake there on that lap time. He's got a little bit wide going through the Andretti hairpin, and by the time he works through turn 3, I'm not necessarily sure this will be an improvement on his lap time, so he'll be building up for that final lap in the session. Do you remember though, yesterday Gilhode was able to steal away pole position on his very last lap of the qualifying session away from Zeiken. So I wonder if Reyes will be trying very much the same feat here, because this lap is already bust.
Yeah, you won't be doing it on this lap. I think it'll be the next one around, and this places huge pressure on that final lap, doesn't it, Isaac?
Yeah, this is it. It's a very difficult circuit to overtake, what I said before. So qualifying is key. It's really key. If you're on the front row, you can still go for the win. Second row as well, if something happens. But other than that, it's very difficult to make your way up the field on a track like this.
No question. It's currently the front row shared between Andika Ramalana and Russell Reyes. If anything, from what we have seen already is to go by, we're going to have fireworks, no question, heading through the race that we're going to be opening the door on just after quali concludes, as now we watch Ignacio looking to improve from third fastest over 3 1/4 tenths. He does improve just by a little bit, though the gap has just come down to just over 3/10 of a second, but nevertheless still an improvement. Currently holding that second row placement with Du just in behind him at the same time. Wanshi Du, who's now looking to try and break to within perhaps even 4 tenths, but on this lap that doesn't seem to be the case as he registers a split time far beyond where he needs it to be with only 30 seconds to go.
Do you remember though, Russell Reyes also not improving on this lap time, so there is time in that final lap to potentially do it. And Andika Ramalana's run wide there at turn 6 going on to the Rahal straight, so that will not be an improvement on this lap time with the time left in the session. Andika Ramalana will not get another attempt in this qualifying session. So 1:21.694 will be the lap time to beat for the likes of Reyes, for the likes of Ignacio. Du's already bailed from the lap, so there's going to be no further improvement from Wanshi Du. Russell Reyes with a costly mistake means that he isn't going to be stealing away pole position anytime soon.
Not at all. He's very nearly 2 seconds off the pace right now, so there won't be an improvement here for Russell Reyes. But you never know, maybe a late send late in the day from others, but it looks like by and large that is going to be it. Oliver Wormston looking to break into the top 4, but obviously needs to chase a real upheaval on his previous time. Runs a little bit wide of the apex, so very nearly kissing the gravel on the run uphill here. Of course, he also returns from last season's grid in the Ferrari HP Esports Series regional finals. And now downhill, Wormston just over a tenth away. He could recover that in the final sector, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's certainly a second row option potentially open here for Oliver Wormstone. Picking up a little bit of slipstream as he works his way down into the final corner. But could there be an opportunity to move on to the second row? Traffic in the way, contact from it. And I can understand his frustration. Can't use your car as a weapon, though, but I can understand the frustration.
Yeah, certainly can. Just over 7.5, well, nearly 7.5 tenths away from the top time. It will not trouble, though, at the top of the order. Andika Ramalana did not qualify last year, but now has a great chance to do it again this time. The GT Cup World Finalist back again on the top of the timesheets and looking to ferry his way through to the grand final in December. I mean, this is a better way to start as opposed to what we saw from last year, Isaac.
Yes, for sure. But it's not done yet. What we've been saying, of course, qualifying is very, very important, but the race can be tricky as well, in the sense that if you have a setup that's very different qualifying to race, you have to adjust to that again. And then with these tires, on a tight and twisty track, the tires can overheat, especially the rear tires can overheat. So you need to keep it just within the limit to not break out the rear end, break out the rear tires and overheat those rears, because if you suddenly start losing the rear grip on a track like this, I think the pressure behind will then be mounting.
Yeah, no doubt at all. And obviously heading into turn 2, I mean, that's going to be the main corner to watch. Obviously turn 1, a kink in the course, by and large pretty much call it part of the straight. Andretti hairpin is where it really starts to, I suppose, constrict in terms of car placement. You really need to find your track position fairly early into this lap. What are your thoughts heading into turn 2 here at Laguna Seca?
You can hang it around the outside. You can. You don't have to be ahead coming out of the corner. As long as you're alongside coming out of the corner, then the next 2 corners are going to be right-handers. So then it's your advantage if you're still alongside coming around the outside in the downhill of turn 2. So it is possible. But it will be tricky. You've got cold tires, cold brakes as well to take into account. So it's going to be the best of the late breakers, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. What do you make of the side-by-side action as well, Lewis, between Andika Ramalana and also Russell Reyes? Do you think that could easily spill over into the race, especially considering now Reyes has got a lot of work to do to try and keep Milano behind. Obviously, it's very hard to keep that man down, isn't it?
Well, I think the big question is how much red mist are we going to see? You know, obviously there was a few drivers improving there at the end. We had Wormstone there getting his lap blocked to the final corner. Well, he'd be sitting there thinking there was more that I could have gained from that. Getting a little bit aggressive down into that opening braking zone at turn 2 into the Andretti hairpin. That could also affect him. And of course, those top two, they had drama in that qualifying session. Russell Reyes will be the one determined to make right of that. Whether he was improving on the lap, I am actually not 100% sure, but he'll be frustrated that he was blocked regardless by Andika Ramolana, and so I think he might get a little bit elbows out into the opening section, and let's say we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight, and no doubt tempers are going to flare elsewhere. Other drivers to keep an eye on, of course, Oliver Wormstone being one of those to watch. Luis Moreno as well. Luis Moreno, another driver that has been competing across the realms of sim racing for a very, very long time, could also feature. We've got one driver in particular as well, though, Isaac, competing in Radical Academy at the moment from last year, 2024. So Razan Putra, who's been taking part in real-life motorsport, qualified here for the Ferrari HP Esports Series Championship. From your mindset and your experience, what is it like for drivers that have had experience in real life, you know, converting it over to the sim? Obviously, Putra does it on both disciplines, but would you say there's any added benefit to racing in real life to racing on the sim?
Probably yes. Yes, I mean, it's. I would also say that if you go from sim to real life, you also have an advantage in the sim, because the pressure you feel in the sim, you've heard multiple drivers that do that talk about it, but we've got the lights here, so I'll leave you to it, George.
Well, here we go. 6 lights lit here at Laguna Seca, and it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Andika Ramolana. Russell Reyes was a little slow getting off the line, and now P2 might be in contest. Andika Ramolana getting one incredible start, as now Ignacio looks to try and battle with Russell Reyes. It's inside line though here for Oliver Wormstone, who very aggressively chucks it up the inside. We got Wan Chi Du as well, just in behind those with Luis Moreno as well. But Wormstone has taken held on to P3, I should say, just behind Russell Reyes, who looked like he was going to be at the mercy of the man further back, Ignacio, who is now falling through the field here, Lewis.
Yeah, certainly so. Ignacio dropping back. We also had Irfan dropping back. We're looking at Moliono also dropping back. There's Joaquin Ignacio. He's been off at the third corner and will rejoin. Bit of flashing of the lights as well as some of those race their way through. But already a second lead for Andika Ramolana, who within a minute has got one hand on this opening race. Can Russell Reyes close his way down on our race leader?
Yeah.
He's made a mistake.
My goodness me, Russell Reyes getting it all wrong, coming through the corkscrew, and he is so fortunate, Isaac, that he got out of that unscathed.
Yes, yeah, it's still at this point the tires might still be a little bit cold, so the drivers are struggling and battling each other as well to get the positions. But if you go wrong at the corkscrew and you have that snap of oversteer, it's very difficult to save.
Yeah, no question. We're currently watching now the rest of the field further back. This is just outside the top 10, as now we see a battle including that in P7. Obviously, I think Chen has just had a problem. Yeah, Chen has fallen down the order. He is now down into 16th. That's Hao Chen, who will need to try and rejoin the action, but not the greatest of 360s there, and has actually made impact with the barrier. That wasn't the most gracious of turns there, Lewis.
Not ideal. Hard to flick spin this when you've got TC on and all that, but I will say Chaturafat was able to pick his way through that, went down the inside and the final corner. So yeah, like I said, was seeing some of the drama ahead. Did the right thing in the moment. Did Chen by holding position as much as you're in the middle of the race circuit. Sometimes it is better to hold station, because at least then you are somewhat predictable. We're looking at the moment here at Molina, who did make a little bit of progress early on in the race, but has obviously dropped back a little bit after that opening skirmish.
Yeah, Chaturafat now into P11 as it stands. We have now got other drivers are going to filter into positions. Jeong Young Park, who is also looking to move his way through the field at this stage. Cars going wide in the corkscrew again, and that was Park who went wide and has lost time and places as a result. He's into the barrier. Just showed no signs of braking there, Lewis.
Yeah, he's parked up. You got to see the opportunity and drop it. But Park will get back going again either way, and so it's not fully parked up. It's fine. There is still plenty of time left to go in the race, and of course it does set the grid position for the next race. So if you can gain anything after any of the drama, then yeah, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, really, Isaac, it's never over till it's over. Of course, we saw Ignacio become one of our first casualties in this race. Already now he's up into 19th after that difficult start. Iliev now into 17th now as well after getting past, or is he? Because Sama's now back into 17th place now. Aliev back into 18th as we watch this battle go onwards. And obviously Mohit Sama, a wrestler, but also a keen Ferrari fan at the same time, grappling here with Iliev over this 17th spot. But going back to what I was saying, it's never over until it's over. Like I said, Ignacio, one of the first casualties, has now found his way back into 19th due to issues elsewhere.
Exactly.
It's insane,
That's why
isn't it? Oh, go on, Carol.
Sorry, I was just going to say, we always have race 2 as well, but it is increasingly difficult if you didn't get the result you wanted into race 1. These guys almost have to work together to get closer to the top 5, I think, where you get very good points. But it seems like they are battling very hard, trying to get past each other, and that's in turn slowing them down and getting that, increasing that gap to the top 5 as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Mohammed Irfan currently sat in 8th place. We're currently riding on board as well with the car on the right-hand side in blazing yellow. Just trying to close up as well. Aziz looking to close up on to Irfan in 8th spot, but that gap is now nearly 6.5, just breaking over 6.5 tenths now, but immediately comes down as they come through turn 2. And Dika Rama Milano, though, running away with this, Lewis, 2.7 seconds off the back of Russell Reyes' moment at Corkscrew.
Yeah, I mean, I think Reyes has got into his own head a little bit there. Wasn't able to get the race start right. Dropped right off the back of Andika Rama Milano. And then, whilst trying to close up, had a costly mistake as well, and alas, dropped even more time. And sometimes that's how it goes in the opening stage of the race, but of course it's not over till it's over. That is a whopper in the background. That was the car was currently sat in 18th position, making a costly mistake.
Yeah, Alberto Descalzo also gaining a spot into 15th at the same time. Ignacio moving up into 18th as a result of Aliev, I think it was, having a moment coming through that bend and running straight into the barrier. So therefore his race is pretty much ran at this stage. We've got 9 minutes and 30 to go. As now Mohammed Irfan heads downhill and looking to chase after Faiz Badriawan, who is still in 7th at the moment. We've got faster laps coming in from Andika Rama Milano, nestling in a 1:21.8, which is not too dissimilar from what we saw from him in qualifying. He's running quali laps in race trim here, Lewis.
Yeah, fantastic pace at the moment as Irfan is trying to get past Badriawan. Oh, goes to the outside into the second corner, opens up the door potentially here for the move to the inside for Shakil Aziz. He goes back to the outside, working their way up towards turn 3. But of course, turn 3 is not really the greatest overtaking opportunity. But you're absolutely right. Andika Rama Milano is putting in qualifying laps at the moment as he runs away from the rest of the field. Big gaps appearing from first, second, and then back to third. Moreno is the one who's keeping Wormstone closely under pressure for that final step on the podium and the important point that goes with it. Reminder, by the way, if you haven't joined us before, how the points work is the FIA point system. So it's 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1. So that is a switch between Wormstone and Moreno of worth 3 points, which could be 3 very important points, as well as all these lot fighting for the final points paying positions.
Yeah, obviously, if Moreno does get past and clinch that P3, he will ideally need to win the final race, and also for things to happen for Andika Rama Milano and Russell Reyes. Also, wouldn't hurt for Oliver Wormston to drop points either, but Moreno in the wheel tracks of Wormston as now Reyes improves and goes faster in this race with his own 1:22.4. Not in the 1:21s, though, like we have seen from Andika Rama Milano so far, as now we ride on board with the nose of Louis Moreno, picture in picture right now as we come out of the second corner apex, out of the Andretti hairpin, now in towards turn 3 and then down this semi-straight, leading through towards turn 4, where we'll then visit turn 5, then that notorious turn 6 section, Lewis, that you've highlighted as one of the more difficult corners on this racetrack.
Certainly caused its problems yesterday. I do think turn 6 caused more problems than any other corner on this circuit yesterday. I highlighted it yesterday as being the troublesome point. You can see how you need to use a bit of curb there on the entry, but the curb isn't in a straight line. It kind of zigzags a little bit before you get into the braking zone, and it's a very light dab of the brake just to get that nose in and flick it through the left-hander at turn 6. Brutally difficult corner. Very exciting when you get it right, but if you turn a little bit too early, there's a massive sausage curb on the inside, and that will push you straight out into the gravel trap. But then if you don't turn in early enough, well, you go into the gravel trap anyway. Very, very fine margin for error there.
Yeah, definitely is that. Ignacio getting another place after passing Justin Hung, who is now down in 16th at the moment. Here is our race leader, Andika Rama Milano, once again varying in decent times, 1:22.3. It's all well and good laying down these fast laps, Isaac, but I just want to ask you, are you at all conscious of tyre wear at this moment?
I would say so, yes. But I think Milano's got it under control. His pace at the moment is just starting to become more and more of a statement towards the other guys, saying, look, I've got the car, I've got the setup, I've got the lap times, and I think if he was struggling with the tires, you would have seen that already in the laps before. But he's just gradually, step by step, increasing his gap to race in P2. So I think he's got it well under control, and this is also quite nice. With this gap, you can start to become more comfortable, not too comfortable because you don't want to make mistakes, but having this gap is really nice and comfortable in the lead, and you can just focus on your rhythm, do your laps, and by the looks of things, his laps are looking very quick.
Yeah, and at a crucial moment as well, because we are going to be coming into the final 5 minutes soon enough in just over 30 or so seconds time. Russell Reyes with no response to Andika Rama Milano so far. And this means ultimately that he will need to win the next race and ideally see Andika Rama Milano finish 3rd or below, Lewis.
Yeah, certainly so, because you've got to remember that there is a count back here. Let's say, for example, that Reyes is able to win the next race and Andika Rama Milano finishes in 2nd. So they'd both have a 1st and they'd both have a 2nd. Well, whoever had that 1st or who had the higher position in the opening race is the tie-break. And for Andika Rama Milano, with that being the victory, then he has that as a little bit of an extra bonus for the tie-break. So he would be the one to progress through. That said, I still wonder if there was any cause for investigation in qualifying between Reyes and Milano. Kind of doubt it, but you never know. There's always that maybe looming over Andika Rama Milano's head. Here's Moreno, bit of a mistake there from Wormstone. I think Moreno might have a bit of a look here coming into 5.
Yep, trying to commit over this 3rd place battle. Remember, this is the final podium spot here in race 1. And Luis Moreno now with every chance, if he has the momentum, I don't think he'll try it here. Very risky to try something at this portion of track coming through turn 5 and turn 6. But later, this will build them up for a run down the corkscrew. And as you can see, going very defensive-minded here is Oliver Wormstone. Moreno still all over his rear spoiler, though, as it stands. We've got Wan Chi-Du currently operating in 5th place, 1.5 seconds behind Moreno as it stands. But definitely some indications here that Moreno is touting for a podium spot, and every single point matters. Remember, a very aggressive system we are adopting here ahead of the regional finals for this Ferrari HP Esports series. Moreno getting the run out of the final corner at turn 11 as they now fly down through towards turn 1. Will he open the door coming down into the Andretti hairpin? He may choose to leave it late. He's a little bit too far back, I would say, on Oliver Wormstone right now, but definitely the intentions are there, Isaac Gillison, for a move to be made for P3.
Absolutely, Wormstone is defending well, but Moreno is really, really smart in how he is showing his nose just at the start of the braking zone. He doesn't go all the way to the middle of the track, but he just puts his nose a little bit out of place just for Wormstone to notice in the mirror. And of course, when you're looking into the mirror, you're not looking at your braking point, so very smart driving by Moreno for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely looking sharper inside that middle sector as well, so we'll see whether he tries something at turns 5 and 6 again this time. Obviously, we'll wait and see. They'll soon be climbing the hill good and proper, and then making their way through towards the corkscrew once more. Time is starting to whittle down. We're inside the final 3 minutes. Moreno hugging the rear on the black-coloured Ferrari 488 just in front as they now hurtle downhill once again, and he's all over the back of Wormstone once more. He might have to try the weird and wonderful to make this count, Lewis.
Thing is, if he does, that's exactly what Wan Chi-Du is looking for behind that. He's looking for that mistake. He's watching them battle and thinking, hey, there might be an opportunity here. They do also have a little bit of lap traffic, I believe, not too far ahead of them in, I was going to say it might be Park, who's the one who is directly ahead. It is certainly indeed Park, who's that black and white car that is just ahead of Wormstone. So gets out of the way before they get into the braking zone coming down to turn 2. The Andretti hairpin could potentially block a little bit here. here as there goes Moreno trying to look for it. Wormstone's out wide, side by side towards turn 3.
Yeah, trying to make the most of the imposition. Oh, contact now, and the two of them, very nearly both of them round. Moreno now finding himself on the rear. Wan Shidu, we were just talking about this, Lewis. You made the point that Wan Shidu is just waiting for one of these two to either fall out of the sky or at least maybe both of them to spill off. Well, he's profited now. A second lead now on Oliver Wormston. It's Wan Shidu on the podium spot, P3.
That's the kind of predicting of the future that you need to become a 2-time VCO Senior award-winning commentator and not just a nominee, George. No, I'm joking. No,
ouch, ouch.
So, that was a bit harsh on my part. Andika Ramalalo, either way, he's working his way into the final sector. No, it was predictable. Obviously, they were throwing everything at it. Moreno going to the outside of turn 3. It's so difficult through there. Always going to be contact. I will say, Duke came through that perfectly. Saw the opportunity, parted the sea and just went, right, I'm going that way.
Yeah, I think he almost also saw it happen before it happened, I think, by and large. I mean, obviously, Louis Moreno has been hustling and pressurising Oliver Wormston. Do you think he was slightly overzealous there, Isaac?
It's difficult to say. Difficult to say in that corner. A little bit of contact, especially at this stage of the race, where the tires are starting to wear out a little bit. Just a small bit of contact can really, and you saw it, both cars were almost synchronized spinning. It can really offset, like upset both cars. So I have to take a look at the replay again to see what really happened there. But looked like an unfortunate incident. But not if you're due in third place. I think as well, going into the second race, Reyes and Molana, they are like. It's the most pressurized race, the second race, and Reyes has to try and force a move maybe into turn 1, and then might be again there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, it's definitely going to kick off, I think, at the start of race 2, but Andika Ramalana is now we come into the final seconds. Now it looks like we could be saying sayonara to race 1 on this very lap, as now with 4 seconds to go, he makes his way through the final corners. And now this being the final corner at turn 11. It's been a flawless performance from Andika Ramalana since getting the Jetson off the line. As we got underway, he has now taken our first win of this morning session here in the Asia Pacific region. It's Andika Ramalana who wins at Laguna Seca. Russell Reyes will finish in second place, and after profiting off the back of the misery of Oliver Wormston and Louis Moreno, it is Wan Shidu who takes third on our final podium place. Oliver Wormston will cross the line in fourth ahead of Louis Moreno. An astonishing moment that ultimately led to Wan Shidu taking that final podium spot, but Andika Ramalana kicking his day off in the most perfect way possible and has one hand on qualification to the Ferrari HP Esports Grand Final for the 3rd of December. But he needs to go back out there again and beat Russell Reyes in race 2, Lewis.
Well, he doesn't necessarily need to beat Reyes. He can finish behind as long as he's only second. A lot of damage to the front end here of how Chen's car is going to work his way through the final corner and up towards the line. I think there's going to be a few damaged 488 Evos out there. It was a pretty brutal race, especially for those lower down. But we're looking for those to join Deeth Woods, Tamash, Valero, Carlos Blanco, and Gilhub from yesterday. Of course, the 7 drivers we already have. And Andika Ramalana now appears to be, as we were expecting coming into it, maybe the most likely. But of course, turn 2, lap 1, he had a very clear rundown into it. Everyone else behind him basically had a poor start. Will that happen for the second race in a row? I'm not so sure. And under pressure, can he hang on to the same degree?
Yeah, I mean, that was ultimately the difference maker, wasn't it, Isaac, in the sense that Andika Ramalana had that brilliant getaway right at when the lights went out. And then obviously, that prevented any opportunity of Russell Reyes actually putting a move up against him heading through and towards turn 2. Do you think Russell Reyes is going to be a lot more conscious of the starting lights this time?
For sure. This needs to be his moment. And if you're Morana, like going into turn 1, you see you've got a bit of clear space behind. You can take it a little bit easier into the braking zone with collar tires, and you can bring those collar tires nice and gently into their operating window. So it's almost a double win for him in the sense that, yes, he is comfortable, and by him being comfortable, he can also treat his tires nicely. And Reyes had a bit of pressure from behind, from Wormstone as well for a moment. So Reyes doesn't want to let Molana get away with it again and be comfortable. He really needs to put him under pressure, especially at the start, to not let him get away and see what's possible there.
Yeah, obviously results are very much provisional at the moment, folks, but let's run you through what they are as they cross the line. Antica Roma Milana, 25 points taken after that on-track victory, though will he hold on to it? That is the big question. Russell Reyes in second with 18 points against his name ahead of Wanchi Du, who managed to get third late in the day after the contact between Oliver Wormston and Louis Moreno, who finished fourth and fifth. And then we have in sixth place Mohamed Irfan on 8 points ahead of Joshua Ivan Melonio in seventh. Then we have Ilham El-Karim Shakil Aziz on 4 points in 8th place, 2 points back from Melonio in 7th. We can move then further down into P9 and onwards, obviously finishing in behind those. Obviously, Milana really sending a message in that initial race. We had Faiz Badirawan in 9th place on 2. We then have Riajian on 1 point. Sama, Hung, Aliev, and also Ignacio, Putra, and Chen all on 0 points. At the close of our first race, they're going to look to come back with a bang when we go racing later on. But just a little reminder, those points are all provisional as it stands, folks. So we'll have to wait and see whether the stewards will have a final say on the matter. You never know. We could see for the first time here, Lewis, a qualifier decided by stewards' infringement.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how this race also unfolds. Got to remember, of course, as I did point out yesterday, anyone with 0 points now, and I guess technically even those with 1. So anyone from 10th on back, they are basically no longer able to qualify because I guess, yeah, at one point you could do it if you were to work your way through and win. Basically, anyone on 0 points can't do it because even if they are able to work their way through and become victorious, because Antica Roma Milana had victory in the first race, it wouldn't. He would be having it on countback. So effectively, we can already scratch off over half of this field as being able to qualify this evening, courtesy of there only being 1 car, which is brutal, isn't it? That's just that's this format. It is brutal. You get 20 odd cars on the circuit, and just one of them is able to go through.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of this with Jacques Olivier yesterday, didn't we, Lewis? I mean, what's your mindset now, Isaac? If you're out of the title contest, you believe it to be mathematically or just by sheer circumstance, you're still racing for pride, aren't you, heading into race 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, like, mindset going into race 2, it's pressure off for you then. I would say try to give the people at home a bit of a good show, overtaking, defending, drive yourself into the limelight as well. Give yourself a bit of exposure because there's plenty of people watching these streams. So have fun, give us a good show, and yeah, let's see how it goes in race 2.
Yeah, it's going to be an immense battle, I think, now as we get set ready for the second race on this Laguna Seca battle. As now we await the lights to all go red. All 6 lights are lit. And they go out, and it's pedal to the metal. And it's go, 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 go. And certainly this time, Antica Roma Milana not getting away necessarily as good as he did before. It was a good start still, but others just as good as he is. Coming down through towards turn 2 this time. Russell Reyes very much glued to the back of Antica Roma Milana. We've got other places now being contested further back. Wanchi Du down in 4th now. As Shakil now makes his way 6th place now ahead of Louis Moreno, who drops down a couple of places. Ignacio also dropping down to 12th as it stands. And other places be again. Ignacio actually on the rise. 11th place now and on the cusp of the top 10. But it's Antica Roma Milana starting as he means to go on as well. With a P1 in his pocket, it could be 2 wins on the spin tonight, much like Sven Gilhode.
Yeah, certainly so. We've had another couple of good starts. Joshua Ivan Leono, who's the one who's worked his way up into 3rd position, had a fantastic start in the previous. I think he went from 13th or 11th, 13th, something like that kind of range, all the way up into 5th position. Once again in this race, been able to work his way through onto the podium. He's got a cracking start in this 488 at the moment, as he's worked his way up the order onto the podium. We'll try and keep Wanchi Du at bay for the next 30 minutes and 50 seconds. That's going to be very difficult. Reyes was able to navigate the corkscrew on the opening lap here much better than he did in the previous race, but can he find some opportunity to pass Antica Roma Milana, who kind of really has to win this race as he is under investigation, or I'm sure he will be anyway afterwards, for the qualifying infringement that he had, the incident that he had between Antica Roma Milana and Russell Reyes, blocking one of Reyes' laps.
Yeah, so if that's indeed is placed under investigation and is then penalised, Isaac, are you going to be nervous as to whether that ultimately could affect your progression to the grand final, ultimately, despite you winning 2 races out on track?
I don't think, like, Oh, there we go, car backwards at the exit
Moreno.
of turn 2. But I don't think it will affect you very much. It's something like you, of course, never want to block as people are scrapping really hard there. But if you're Milana, I don't think it will affect you. It's just a small mistake. And there we go, into the barrier.
Yeah, Justin Hang actually just losing out massively after getting punted in the rear. We saw Descalzo, of course, going off wide at the top of the corkscrew on the previous lap, as well as we watched Louis Moreno, who has had a very unfortunate decline in where he currently sits inside this classification. Remember, he was well inside the top 10, and in our previous race actually fighting for the podium. How things can change so quickly here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series here, Lewis.
Yeah, I think there was an issue coming out of the Andretti hairpin there on this lap that's dropped him back. Then was the 3 wide, 4 wide, and then it all kicked off there. That saw hung out into the gravel. He got hung out to dry, you could say. But of course, there's a few drivers that went through a bit. Moreno, you can see an awful lot of damage there on the left-hand side of the car into the final corner. You can see the fastest lap coming in from Andika Ramalana, pulling out a further 10th on Reyes, and it could be back-to-back victories again for Andika Ramalana as he'll look to right the wrongs of 2024.
Yeah, no question. We're now riding on board with Oliver Wormston's front nose cone as well, pretty much. We say front nose, just the front end of the car as they head down the straight before then heading through the right-hander. He's chasing down after P3 at the moment. That is the mission. Obviously, at this stage, it is still Andika Ramalana with the lead, but Wormston threatening still nonetheless in the number 5 black Ferrari 488 as they now look to head uphill in a battle over P3 in the final podium place. In behind, Wan Shidu looking for back-to-back P3s, and you never know, he could profit again exactly in the same manner as he did in the race before, Lewis.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is here, there is a cork in the bottle, so to speak, with Ivan Miliono, who, of course, is out of position. So started both of the races this evening absolutely brilliant. Has had by far the best starts of anyone this evening. Worked way up into 3rd position here in the final step of the podium, but pace-wise, he doesn't have quite the pace of Oliver Wormstone behind, who is getting aggressive here with a lunge into the final corner. Could push him out wide here, and could Wan Shidu able to flick his way through? Nope, just a perfect move from Wormstone to get onto the final step of the podium.
Yeah, lovely move there from Oliver Wormston, and very much, I would say, move of this broadcast so far, as we now see up the inside Wan Shidu looking for a move once again, this time on Miliono, who surely is going to lose out. He went very late coming through turn 2, but is back again side by side here with Wan Shidu. Also coming into this, we've got Shakil Aziz also at the inside now in the yellow 488, and he moves past. Wan Shidu has taken full opportunity of the moment, and Shakil Aziz into P5.
I mean, Wan Shidu's not done with it. He's had a bit of a moment there, losing grippers. There goes Shakil Azil down the inside of Ivan Miliono as they work their way into turn 5, up to 6. Wan Shidu looking down the inside. This is going to end in tears if they're not careful, and it is going to end just a little bit wide goes Wan Shidu. And I think Ivan Miliono has dropped right the way down the order courtesy of that.
Yeah, down into 11th place now. Others have gone past inside the top 10. Oliver Wormston still holding on to 3rd and has now got a 2-second gap ahead of Shakil Aziz, who is now in 4th place. Massive chaos through that exchange there, Isaac. What did you make of it?
That's turn 6 in a nutshell. I think what Lewis said as well at the start, it's so tricky by your own qualifying lap to nail that quarter, and then if you go side by side, there's no chance. So if you're on the outside, it's so difficult. But I think if you're on the outside, you almost have to give up the position and try to get a good run up the hill again towards the corkscrew. Didn't happen there, and then unfortunately that's the result right there.
Yeah, we got Wan Shidu once again on the attack, this time trying to move up the inside to recover P5 right now, in a big untidy run from Badriawan, who is trying to hold on to that 5th place, but up the inside he will look to hold on to it, does for now, but there are others now queuing up also for a piece of the pie. Wan Shidu now just poking the rear end on that red Ferrari 488 as they now come through the next segment, and indeed he's going to lose out again because in comes now the driver currently sat down in 6th place, Ignacio, also moving up into 7th as well by exchange, so 2 places lost by Wan Shidu in 1 move alone, Lewis.
Yeah, Redian was able to come through, Ignacio also, so Wan Shidu just getting wrong-footed there from Badriawan, and I think it's one of those bits you can see that Wan Shidu's out of position, driving into the back of someone going through turn 4 is what's cost him there. And then he's dropped back into the clutch of those behind. He's going around with respectfully slower drivers comparatively to him, as every time he gets dropped down further positions, it's going to be extremely frustrating for Wan Qidu after the brilliant drive onto the podium into the previous race. He's got Earth in the next one behind. Obviously there's still some quality drivers around here. We'll say on the not this lap they've just completed, but the lap before, it was the fastest lap of the race coming in from Russell Reyes, so he's keeping within a second. I'm not saying it's he's got a perfect run here for a victory, but there is still the potential of a chance there as someone's running way out wide at the second corner. We believe it was Irfan who's made a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, of course, still currently standing inside the top 10. We saw one car running very well. That's Wan Qidu again having a moment, and Irfan has actually managed to move up the inside and through and past. So yet more places being disputed at the moment. Muhammad Dafar also moving into 9th. So Wan Qidu now looking to move back on Dafar now, but Dafar still holding on to that 9th spot and ensuring that that inside line is covered. As we now come back to Russell Reyes, fastest man on track at the moment with that very early 1-2-2. But needs to get a little bit closer if he's going to upset the balance of Andika Ramanalana's race. But these two very nearly, I would say Isaac, at the moment, matching each other toe for toe at the moment across each lap.
Absolutely. Russell Reyes even closing the gap by 2/10 this lap. So I don't know if he maybe had a bit of damage in race 1 that he picked up at the start of race 1, but he is on pace with Malana. And what he did as well now is he's keeping Malana under pressure. So Malana is not able to comfortably put his tires into the right window and drive away. Reyes looks like he has got his tires into the right window nice and gently, and now has the pace to really put Malana under pressure. 7/10 the gap now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we could be on the cusp of a last-minute crescendo. I mean, it's oh so important for Russell Reyes to win this race, Lewis. If he does, obviously, based on what we believe to be true off the back of the first race, Andika Ramanalana would win on countback, but you simply never know with the steward's decision still being disputed behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones you've got in Russell Reyes' boots. You can only do what you can do. You can only take control of what you have control of right now. And what that is winning this race. If you win this race, you both walk out of here with 43 points. And then it's in the stewards' room about qualifying, about the block that Andika Ramanalana had on Reyes in that qualifying session. A little bit of the qualifying games being played, a little bit of gamesmanship in there. Now, we obviously don't know what would happen behind the scenes there. But at this point, this is the only bit that you have control over. Maybe even getting close enough to potentially try and force a mistake out of Andika Ramanalana where he wouldn't finish in second place, where maybe you drop down behind Wormstone, behind Shakil Aziz, somewhere in that kind of margin, then you would be the one to do so. And with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left to go on the clock, Reyes is trying everything here to sit on the rear end of our race leader, and you can tell neither of these two drivers are giving up at the moment.
They definitely aren't. I mean, we're talking 3 to 4 laps. I think we're going to be seeing here. It's going to be very, very tight between these two. As now Ignacio comes down in towards turn 2 as well, this time looking to move up and into P6 if he can. That's going to be the mission, should he choose to accept it. Rafi Rahajan currently occupying that P6 spot, just behind Badri Awan as well, who's in P5 and 1.7 away from Shakil Aziz, who's still in control of 4th spot at the moment, 2.9 away from Oliver Wormston. There's now Ignacio looking all over the back of the yellow 488, just can't find an angle to make the pass happen. It's been largely impressive. Ignacio has had to really fight his way back through the field and has done so brilliantly. 7th place in the palm of his hand as now Russell Reyes breaks to within half a second of Andika Ramanalana. That time continues to tumble. So Russell Reyes could be chasing something that could change the path in terms of his qualification to the Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Final. Andika Ramanalana, who's had it all his own way pretty much through the course of the first race and indeed this race so far. We could see the move happen as soon as now, because Reyes is going to look to try and check out here with P1 in the palm of his hand out of turn 2. I don't think he's going to be close enough this time, but a clear message sent as once again he goes faster than Andika Ramanalana here, Lewis.
Yeah, it was only by a few hundredths of a second, but the pressure is very much there. They do also have the black and white car up ahead, which they'll be lapping soon. That is Park at the moment. They also have Aliev, who's only a few seconds past that. I suspect they'll be passing both of those before they see the checkered flag. And that could cause its fair share of drama. Park was obviously very good as a back marker in the previous race, jumped out of the way without causing any major bits of drama before the incident we saw for the podium. I'm sure he'll be just as kind to these two, battling for victory, battling for transfer, battling for the grand final and that ticket to move through.
Yeah, it's all about the victory. The lights flashing on the car of Andika Ramanalana, just letting the back markers know that his blue flags, well, he's just done him a favour right there, going off at the corkscrew, therefore allowing Andika Ramanalana the clear track space in front to hold position here. Russell Reyes would have hoped that he would have caused perhaps a few more problems than he did, but Andika Ramanalana won't be complaining, but still Reyes is going to be peppering that rear end as now they come through the final corner, now this time out of turn 11. The long straight now coming up. We're into the final 2 minutes and 30. Isaac, if you're in these drivers' position, what exactly is the process of thinking? If you're in Andika Ramanalana's position, what are you thinking?
Oh, I wouldn't want to be in his position because he won race 1. He's got great pace. What he's thinking about now is that plane ticket to Abu Dhabi, and he's thinking about, oh, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose this, and he's feeling that pressure. Feeling that pressure can make you slightly overdrive the tires as well, and that will then move you even closer to the car behind. In this situation, I would much rather be the hunter than to be the hunted.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you here in this case. I mean, Lewis, is it possible? Can Reyes take Andika Ramanalana?
100%. There is the opportunity, obviously, turn 2, the final lap of the race. There'll be the opportunity every single corner that goes by. The pressure is building, and one mistake here coming in from Andika Ramanalana, and it will have the opportunity for Russell Reyes. He cannot let the mind wander. He can't be thinking about the plane ticket just yet. Quarter of a second separates first to second. Certainly not one hand on the transfer position at the moment for Andika Ramanalana, and he missed out last year. I mean, look, he'll be desperate not to miss out again. Russell Reyes is the one who makes the mistake, though, and he's going to have a half spin here. That is game, set, match, surely.
Yeah, the book is shut on this one now. The gap has gone out to nearly 3 seconds. Andika Ramanalana has had a gift sent from above, an olive branch, if you will, to hold on to this race lead in the final closing lap as now Padariwan comes to a spin as well. He falls outside of the top 10 and Louis Moreno moves into 9th. Chaos ensues here on the final lap as now Joaquin Ignacio looks to move up into P4, trying to move his way past Rahajian, who's still holding on to that 4th place. It's now a mere 3.5 tenths to 4 tenths between them. The gap has now shrunk even more as they come out of turn 2 through turn 3, but Ignacio can't quite find the angle. But Andika Ramanalana, this might have been his saving grace. Russell Reyes getting it wrong at the end of the penultimate lap.
He was throwing everything at it, though, wasn't he? Reyes is leaving very little on the table, and I think he could still leave this race. Maybe disappointed that it wasn't there, but happy that he left nothing on the table, that he did throw everything at it, that he did try and push Andika Ramanalana to the very end. Just one costly mistake in the penultimate turn of the penultimate lap is what's thrown it out of contention for him, and I think even with a penalty from qualifying, Andika Ramanalana should have enough to hold on when it comes to the points.
No doubt, the timer has now hit 0. This is the final lap. He's coming out of the final corner, and after losing out last year, he now returns here to the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Andika Ramanalana goes back-to-back with race wins. He takes race 2. Obviously, still some stewards' decisions to be worked out behind the scenes, but he wins here in race 2 on track, with Russell Reyes finishing in 2nd. Oliver Wormston will take 3rd place. And then we have Rahajian in 4th, with Ignacio closing him down, just not quite close enough to get a move as they cross the line and take the. So it's Andika Ramanalana, much like Sven Gilhode from yesterday on Assetto Corsa, who takes victory in back-to-back races and also with the pole, Lewis.
Yeah, it is obviously provisional as Hao Chen's trying to make a move here, but obviously going off the road a little bit there and turning this 488 into a little bit of a rally car. Not its ideal interpretation of a vehicle, but yeah, you've got to give it a go sometimes and maybe go out a little bit wide. But got to say, Andika Ramanalana, outside of that qualifying incident, has driven very well on both the races, dealt with the pressure of Russell Reyes very, very well there, and was able to see the checkered flag without making a mistake. Russell Reyes was the one who made mistakes in both races. Of course, lap 1 in race 1 and the penultimate lap in race 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Russell Reyes is going to be bitterly disappointed, is he not, Isaac? He got to the back of Andika Ramanalana, but at the crucial moment, just prior to the start of the final lap, where he should have really laid down the fight to Andika Ramanathan on said final lap. I mean, I had visions of them coming together at turn 2. We didn't even get to see that after the spin coming through towards the final corner, or at least the loss of balance coming through towards turn 11. I mean, he must be feeling horrendous right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you have got such a strong showing, like in turn or in race 2, where he was keeping with Molana and even catching him and putting him in that position where he felt the pressure, and then making a slight mistake like that basically seals the race. It's really gutting for him. But I think he fought valiantly and he put Molana under pressure. Would it be nice to see a move here or there for the broadcast and to see who'd come out on top? But I think both drivers drove very well, very good pace as well, and congratulations to both wins for Molana.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's all provisional at this stage, but Andika Ramanathan winning both races comes in off the back of a marvellous day at the office, taking 50 points provisionally, as we can see at the top of the sheets, ahead by 14 points of Russell Reyes in second. Oliver Wormston comes across the line with 27 points against his name after that P3, ahead of Wan Chi-Du, who achieved a P3 in our first race. He finishes on 21, 5 points clear of Mohamed Irfan. We then have Rafi Rahajian in 6th place on 13 points, 1 point ahead of Louis Moreno. And then we have Joaquin Ignacio on 10 points in 8th place as well. 9th spot goes to Inhelm Karim Shakil Aziz on 8, 1 ahead of Joshua Ivan Melonio on 7. Then we have Faiz Badari Wan on 2 points. Then it's zeros for Mohit Sama, Justin Hung and Yakub Aliyev, as well as Razan Putra and Hao Chen further down all the way towards P16. So there we have it. The drama has unfolded. Fantastic victory for Andika Ramanathan. Now, with all his experience, Isaac, with what he's experienced before in terms of LAN environments, no doubt he's been contesting in LANs in the past. He's, obviously had a lot more experience than most drivers in this field. Does he then fare well going to Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi in that LAN environment?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Having that experience will help him massively. It's a very different environment, as you said, so adaptability will be tested massively, and you can only adapt well if you feel comfortable in that kind of environment. If the pressure gets to you, yeah, then it's very difficult to be on top of your game. So for sure, it will help him in that situation.
And with Russell Reyes as well, Lewis, obviously he's going to be bitterly disappointed, but I think there's a lot he can take from it. He was a sensational driver last year, and once again he showed all his qualities this year. What could have been, probably, if that infringement through qualifying didn't happen? Of course, we're not sure what the stewards are going to make of that anyway, regardless, but it's what we've seen on track, ultimately, that leads to who's going to qualify for the grand finals. I'm sure he'll be looking to next year and coming back, probably with even more ice in his veins, would he not?
Well, it's what Andika Ramanathan has done this year, isn't he? He didn't qualify last year and then has come back even stronger, has dominated this round. Like I said, race control will have to investigate that qualifying, I'm sure, but it is what it is. Russell Reyes, like I said, especially in race 2 there, left nothing on the table, put on a good show, was really going for it. I think if he hadn't made that mistake in the penultimate corner, there would have been a chance for him at least down into the Andretti hairpin, maybe somewhere around turns 4, maybe even turn 5. Of course, maybe even into the final corner on the last lap. There was the opportunity there. That might sting even more, though, because the opportunity was almost there for him.
And also a reprieve from Oliver Wormston, who was tackling for that, trying to get that P3 in race 1. Ultimately managed to get it in race 2. Had to put his defensive shields up a little bit in the closing stages, but it was a great effort from Oliver Wormston, and I think he'll take solace from that last race.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a few drivers, like I said before. Obviously, only one driver can get through, so everyone else is just looking for a solid result here and there, and that's just how it goes. Sometimes you come into this and you've got to think, maybe I'm not going to be that driver qualifying, but I still get to drive, represent Ferrari, be on a broadcast like this, drive against drivers like this, and sure, maybe that prize might end up going your way. You might take a trip to the grand final, but realistically speaking, percentage-wise, it's not looking great in your favour, so just put on a good show.
Yeah, and obviously we know what this is all about as well, Isaac. Ultimately, for every driver that has watched Formula One growing up, Ferrari has very much been the centrepiece, and also in the realms of GT racing, applying itself as a top team, a top manufacturer, and producing great cars as well. And for even a sim racer to wear the badge, it's a proud thing, isn't it? So I'm sure every one of these drivers are looking to become one of the highlight stars at a brand like Ferrari.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we're thinking, or that's what I was thinking when I was competing in the Esports series 2 years ago, and then I was lucky enough to join Ferrari, and it's even better than you expect. You really become part of the family. It's really special. I mean, right now I'm in Mugello with the team at Finale Mondiali, so that speaks for itself. It's a life-changing opportunity. So that will be in the back of the head of those drivers driving at the final in Abu Dhabi. So the pressure couldn't be greater, but if you perform well in the pressure, then that will be only an improvement for your performance, I think.
Well, that is it from all of us here as well in the Asian Pacific region. We will, of course, be heading to the Americas this afternoon, this evening, in fact. Do tune in for it, folks. But from all of us here, Lewis McGlade, Isaac Gillison, and, of course, myself, George Morgan, grazie mille. We'll see you later on today.